Today, it's winter driving season here in Wisconsin, and regardless of where you live, you know that oftentimes the roads can be slippery and the weather unpredictable. So I wanted to talk about a few tips of what to do if you're ever in a motor vehicle accident. I know myself, I had the unfortunate experience of being in a motor vehicle accident on the first day of school when I was going to my first day of university as a college student. And I was traveling to school when another driver turned into me, T-boned the front of my car, totally wrecking the car and totaling the car. And I got out of the car and was just sort of shocked initially, and I saw the damage to the car, but physically I felt okay, or so I thought. But I remember waking up the next morning and trying to go to class, and I couldn't turn my head hardly from side to side, and sitting and walking were painful. And that's because I had whiplash and soft tissue injuries. So if you're ever in a car accident, the first thing you want to do is make sure you and others are okay. So if it's you in the accident, you want to check for injuries, get yourself out of the car away from danger. But if it's someone else you see, don't try to move an injured person. What you want to do is call police and or the ambulance if necessary. But make sure you report the collision to the police so they can get on site and start helping you. If it's your car damaged and you're able to get out and walk around, you might want to snap some pictures on your smartphone of the damage in the accident scene. While you wait for police, turn on your hazards if they're working on the car. Try to get out of the way so you don't get injured by other traffic. And again, if it's snowy conditions, there could be others having the same problem near where you are. If you have road flares or something like that, you can set those out. Then you want to exchange information with the other driver if the other driver was involved. And again, the same advice about if they're injured, don't try to move them, but get their name, address, phone number, exchange insurance information. You could take a picture on your smartphone and give that information about yourself to the other driver. If you have any witnesses around, try to get their information too. And then when the police officer comes, ask for his business card and the incident ID number, because that's going to be key to getting the accident report later. If you are thinking and have time, you might want to jot down some basic notes about what happened while it's fresh in your memory. And again, you could do that on a notepad or open a note app in your smartphone and take it down and date it. Now, even if you think the accident is your fault, it's often best to just stay silent at this point. The other driver may or may not have been partially responsible as well, and there's other variables such as road conditions and traffic and other factors that will come down to assigning fault in the accident. So an admission of fault at the scene could be used against you later as a legally binding admission. So in general, it's better to just stay quiet at that point. Make sure everyone's okay, but avoid making a statement of fault to anyone. Even though your impulse might be to be nice and say something to that effect, in general it's better to just wait and deal with that later, because I know from experience you're often in the shock of the moment. And I recall in my own accident me saying, "Oh, I think I'm okay," and I mean what I meant was I physically could get out of the car, but I didn't know later the next day I would not be feeling okay at all. And I don't recall if we got into fault. As I recall, I think the other driver acknowledged that she hit me right away. But again, just avoid making any statements about the fault, or who's at fault, even if you think it may be partially you are to blame. And then just wait for the police to arrive and cooperate fully when they get to the accident. You want to stay there at the scene until the police say you can leave. Now, if you have a medical condition, let them know If you really need to get to the hospital, obviously that's where you need to get going. But if you can stay at the scene while they collect information for the accident report, that's the best. And when you speak to the police, only tell them the facts of the accident. You don't need to draw conclusions, say I think or this or that. Just tell them what happened in your own words from what you know. The responsibility for the accident is a matter of law in the state, and it may or may not be clear right away what was the cause of the crash. So again, you just want to make sure you're reciting the facts as you know them, and you don't need to get into drawing conclusions or assigning blame at that point. Now, after the police say it's okay for you to leave, you need to go to a healthcare provider as soon as possible and get checked out. Similar to my story, you may not realize right away the full extent of your injuries. In fact, I was an 18-year-old college student and never been injured before in my life, and like I said, I felt fine the day I got out. I even recall, I forget if I had to work that day, but it was only after sleeping the next morning that I woke up with the severe neck and back pain, and that pain stayed with me for many months. So my advice is to go see the doctor right away, because in my case I didn't know that, and I did go the next day. I woke up, I was so stiff, then I realized I needed to go to see the chiropractor and get treatment. But if you're in the accident, you should go to a healthcare provider right away, because even a minor ache can be indication of a serious problem. And looking back, I should have gone right there to get checked out the day the accident happened as well. So you should do that. If there's any chance you were injured, you want to see the doctor as soon as possible so they can look you over and put in your medical records what's going on. And so the other thing is, if you wait too long, later the insurance company could say maybe that injury wasn't from the accident, it was from something else. So the best thing is to get to the healthcare provider as soon as you can after the accident to be checked out. The longer you wait, the harder it may be to connect your injuries to the accident. And be sure to tell the doctor as much as you can about the accident and any of your injuries, including dizziness, nausea, memory loss, whatever you're feeling after the accident. I know in my case it was that severe neck and back pain, and my chiropractor worked with me for many months, and that greatly alleviated the pain. But again, I felt so naive, I didn't know what to do, so I did go to the chiropractor, but I believe it was a few days later. The other thing I remember being concerned about was, as a college student without health insurance, I was concerned about paying the bill. But thankfully my chiropractor held the bill until I was able to settle the case with the insurance company and pay them. And many health providers will do that if you make them aware that this is from a car accident injury. So don't let your lack of funds prevent you at least from going and getting checked out after the accident. And as I mentioned earlier, you want to take pictures of your injuries if you have any visible injuries that you can see and damage to your motor vehicle. And then collect all your motor vehicle insurance policy and information for your lawyer to look through, and make sure you inform your insurance company about the accident. I recommend talking to a lawyer before you fill out any of the insurance forms, or before you give any recorded statement to the insurance company, or prior to meeting with the insurance company representative. It's important to get the legal advice before you talk to the insurance company, and to consult with an experienced personal injury lawyer before you sign any checks or documents from the company. Now, I remember in my case, the insurance company called me pretty quickly after the accident, and again, I was very naive, so I started talking to them, and my main concern was paying the chiropractor back, because I was worried about that bill. I didn't understand back then that in their industry they're used to some bills building up while the claims process is ongoing. But I recall the insurance company offered me just exactly about what the cost of my chiropractic bill was on that date to settle the case and go away. And I didn't know anything about pain or suffering at that time. I hadn't been to law school. But I recall thinking, boy, this other driver hit me. And here it wasn't my fault at all. And I'm having to go take time out of my school day and work to go to the chiropractor. And I have this pain. And all they're offering is to cover the chiropractor bills that I never would have had if she hadn't hit me. So at that time, I, as a university student, could go pay a fee and talk to the university lawyer, someone the university had student senate paid to consult with students about rental issues and small matters, and he gave me very good advice and helped me negotiate a higher settlement with the insurance company for the pain and suffering I had suffered from that accident. And I can tell you, for many years after, I had low back pain from that accident. And looking back now, I wish I had waited longer to settle the case, because I recall for a period of several years I couldn't drive longer than an hour to an hour and a half without stopping to take a break to stretch my back, something I'd never had before the accident. So my advice is wait. Even though it's your insurance company, understand they're not that may contact you, and the adjuster, they're not necessarily on your side. So you don't want to act like they are representing you like a lawyer would. So I would go contact a personal injury lawyer before you do anything further. And at my office, you can always contact me and I'll help connect you with a good lawyer in the area if it's around where I practice, or if it's farther away. There's many of my classmates and friends I know of. I can try to talk you through this process and then get you to someone who can help handle your case. Because I know, for me as a young college student, I just didn't know where to turn, and I'm so thankful I was able to go to the campus attorney and get that good advice before I took that low settlement offer that the adjuster initially offered. So again, stay safe out there on the roads in Wisconsin, and I hope this overview has been helpful to you of what to do if you're ever in an auto accident. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.